We got a story today that's going to trigger all the feminists. I sacrificed my life for my career and regret every minute of it. One woman's raw confession after finding herself childless and lost at 40. Yeah, the feminists want women to sacrifice family for career and to be a girl boss. Now, by all means, if that's your choice, that's your choice. I don't care. You know, I'm a libertarian, liberal kind of guy. So if you do you. But I think it's important you have the facts. And when I see stories like this, I think they're important to highlight because this is common for a lot of women. In fact, it's a trope in TV shows. Liz Lemon on 30 Rock talking about how she wanted to have it all. She wanted to be married, have a kid, have a career, but she couldn't. And that's the crazy thing because I guess the idea is that men can. Well, men have careers, women make people. And there's been this big push for a while now where feminists are trying to eliminate the female gender role. They're not saying there should be no gender roles. They're saying there should only be a male gender role. That's the important thing. If you look back historically, you have dudes, they hunt, they sacrifice, some die, they go to war, they collect stuff, they bring it back, they protect the women, they create people, they nurture life, they create families, they make more of society. And this is the male and the female gender role. The left says there should only be one gender role, the male one. Now, I know what they're really saying, but that's what they're really, I know what they claim to be saying. They claim to be saying that gender roles are social constructs and shouldn't exist. But then they tell women to go do masculine things that are traditionally associated with being a male. If there were no gender roles, then there would be a bigger emphasis on males being female, like doing female gender roles. They don't do that. All they say is be a lawyer, prove the world wrong. Listen to this. Listen to this story. Most people who boast successful careers can pinpoint a single movement when they realized their ambition and made a silent promise to themselves to achieve it. But for Anjani Amrit, there was no come to Jesus moment that put her on a path to becoming a lawyer. She wasn't driven by a sense of justice or belief in the legal system. In fact, she says law didn't mean anything to her. All she wanted to do was prove a point. As a child, Anjani dreamt of becoming a journalist or archaeologist, her two passions, but pursued neither. Deciding medicine or law, there were more sensible options for study. She was swayed towards the latter by a patronizing school careers advisor. The teacher had laughed in her face and said, "You can't be a lawyer, you're a woman." So from that day, she decided to prove that man and the world wrong. It ended up being the greatest mistake of her life. Fascinating. Young women go to school and they say, what job are you going to have? And never is the option of being a mother. And they say, well, because men can be fathers and have careers. Women can be mothers and have careers. But it's different. This is a reality. And the feminists are going to cry and they're going to scream, but it's a reality. Men don't have the same kind of limitation, the biological clock. Women do. I am not saying it to be mean. It's a fact. Men don't have to harbor a baby in their own bodies. I am not saying that to be mean. It's a fact. Think about that mathematically. If you took 100 men and 100 women, put them in a workplace, and then said, okay, right now, everyone's going to have a baby. Sure, the men will have a baby with their wives who are at home or maybe at work, whatever, and they'll continue to work. They'll need some time off to help their wife, of course. There is paternity leave. But the women not only will need time off to literally have the baby, but they'll have to recover. And no matter what, that will be a physical burden the man does not have, period. So my point is, if you want to be in a career, that's fine. I don't care what you do. If women don't have kids, by all means, don't have to. You won't have kids. What makes you will eventually cease to exist. I mean, you're atheists, right? These feminists, okay. You don't believe in God. Evolution dictates, right. You don't have kids. Evolution dictates. This country is going to become more conservative. Anyway, they say her high-flying career in corporate law would span 16 years and robbed her of joy, sleep, a loving relationship, and a chance of motherhood. She ran herself into the ground, sometimes working 23 hours a day until she reached total burnout. Today, she regrets every minute of her legal career. That's crazy. This is her. I mean, she's 40. Can she still have a kid? Now a TEDx speaker, mentor, and entrepreneur. Let me pause right there. A TEDx speaker, meaningless. Anjani despairs for the utterly lost young woman she used to be. She also grieves the children she never had. Looking back on her days in corporate law, she realizes she was in a glass prison. Because I worked my whole life to get to the top, I didn't realize I could have left. To me, giving up wasn't an option. In my mind, I would have felt like a complete failure if I quit or dropped out. I wanted to be successful, and I truly believed there was no other option. I had to be a lawyer. I was very conditioned by society about what success looked like, and I wanted to prove to my family of medical experts I could do it. I was the first in my family to become a lawyer. From the moment she stepped on the corporate ladder, the pressure to be perfect and resilient was drilled into her. Remember when all these corporations announced they'd pay for women's abortions? They said, if you live in a state that banned abortion, we will fly you to a state to get you one. Why? It's cheaper. Maternity leave is expensive for a business. They say you have to know the law inside and out, and the advice you give has to always be 100%. If you're wrong, there are huge consequences. As a lawyer, you start to internalize that message of perfection. You start to identify with it and hold yourself up to that impossible expectation. The long hours and pressure put her in a very dark place. She stopped eating, felt constantly anxious, and her sleep was non-existent. Panic attacks became a regular part of life. She was in a toxic, codependent relationship for years that produced no children and left her emotionally drained. Seeing her colleagues flourish made things worse. I never told anyone how I was feeling. I covered it up well. I felt a lot of shame, blamed myself, and felt like a failure. Everyone else was doing really well, and here I was sinking, drowning. It was a very difficult time. There wasn't the same level of understanding of PTSD back then. Oh, geez, no, we're not going there. Ultimately, they say her unyielding dedication to her career robbed her of having the opportunity of becoming a mother. It was a choice she made. She says, I remember vividly coming up to my 40s and I knew time had basically run out. I grieved the loss for nearly 2 years. Let me read that. She says, because I put my legal career first, there was no time for children. I always thought, oh, it'll happen at some point. No. She grieved the loss. I mean, at 40, I think she can still have a kid. It's called a geriatric pregnancy after 35. Looking back, she realized she had no guidance as a young woman on what to do with her life or career, how to manage finances and relationships. 8 years after she left the legal profession, Anjani gained a better understanding of what happened to her when she began therapy and was diagnosed with PTSD. Cringe! Look, man, society has an obligation to make sure young people understand. And we have, for the past several decades, told young women to be men. In movies, in TV, that's the narrative. They say, we want strong female leads in movies. And I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm just saying you need movies that show women they can be moms too. And how about this? You got a problem with gender norms? Then make a movie called, Stay-at-Home Dad or whatever. And you know what? They did this with The Incredibles. Have you guys seen The Incredibles 2? I actually liked it. So The Incredibles, you've got this family of superheroes. Superheroes become illegal or whatever. And then they, hilarity ensues. The family works together to fight a supervillain. In the second one, takes place just after the first. There's a rich guy who wants to bring back superheroes, but he wants the mom, Elastigirl, and not the dad, Mr. Incredible. He says she's got better PR. We're going to go with her to bring superheroes back. And Mr. Incredible then has to raise a family. I thought it was amazing writing. They were like, Mr. Incredible has to be a dad. And it was super difficult and stressful. And the kids were fighting. And then Elastigirl, the mom, has to go out and be the superhero fighting. And it was an inversion of the gender roles, specifically making that point. You could do those things. I don't got any problem with that. But every single time, they're making, even to, I guess, fair point, once again, the woman has to be in that position. It's inverting everything. Do we have movies where the mom is the hero for being a mom to children? Rarely, if at all. That's what we need. We need culture to say it's okay to be a mom. There is social value in it. So here's the point for this lady who became a lawyer. Why did she want to be a lawyer? Because she was told by school. They talked to her and said, what are you going to do with your life? And she said, I don't know. Well, you can't be a lawyer. You're a woman. And she was like, yes, I can. The counselor could have said, you can get a career if you so want. Maybe being a mom might be right for you. You'll find a good man and you will be the light of his life and you'll make all of his hard work for you. This is what I can't stand about a lot of this. Are you a gold digger, bro? Like these guys, they go up to women on the street and they ask them questions. And these women are like, they say like, how much does a guy need to make to date you? And they're like 6 figures. And he's like, you think you're worth it? And she's like, yup, I ain't dating poor guys. And there are guys who get mad at that. I'm like, dude, what do you think is going on? The men who get mad that women, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a quote unquote gold digger. That's stupid. If you're a bad person, fine. If there's a woman and she's mean to you and she doesn't really care about you, fine. But if there's a woman and she's like, I want to be in a relationship with a guy that I find attractive, that is confident and makes a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That's what women find attractive. And if you're a guy, you want to be those things. Guys want women for their appearance. Everybody gets mad about everything. You know what it really comes down to? Let me be honest. People who are ugly get mad about being ugly and blame the other sex, be it men or women, but largely women. And men who are not very charismatic, who aren't physically fit or willing to better themselves, get mad that women don't want them. So let me tell you, I think guys have it easier. Not in every aspect, but if you're a guy, you can decide right now, you're going to start doing push-ups. You can decide right now, you are going to go out there and start running. You're going to lose the weight. You're going to get strong. And you're going to make it work. If you're a woman, well, to be fair, women have it easier in a different way. But some women who are ugly can't do anything about it. That being said, ugly women still have an easier time into a certain respect. But if you're a guy and you're having a hard time of you've got to improve yourself. So maybe it's unfair to say that guys have it easier because guys have to meet a certain standard. But this is reality. That's life. You don't get to complain about the left and gender ideology and then sit there and be like, but it's okay with me being out of shape and not good at anything and women should want to date me. You know, there's this really funny meme where it's like a guy and a woman holding hands and they're attractive. And there's a person who posted being like, look at them. It's unfair. Why can't I have this? And you can see the silhouette of the guy and he's wearing a fedora and he's fat. My dude, take off the fedora. Okay, you don't need to wear it. A beanie works because people wear those. I'm half kidding, by the way. You don't need to wear a hat. But get in shape. Make something of yourself. Guys, you have that choice. It's crazy to me. Yeah, you do. Now, not everybody does. Some people may have disabilities or physical issues. Those, sure. But the average guy, you have that choice. And for women, I think it's also important to realize this lady ain't wrong. You can have a career if you want, but maybe you should listen to all these women who are saying they regret it. I'm not saying you should regret anything you've done. I'm saying consider it. What might your life look like at 45? What are you going to be doing at 70 years old? Will you be like Chelsea Handler, giggling it up, saying that you wake up early in the morning to do drugs and masturbate? And then when you're on your deathbed, the doctor will walk into the room and say, I'm sorry, Miss Handler, it is terminal. Is there anyone I should call? And she's going to say, no. Well, we're here if you need us. And he's going to walk out and she's going to sit in that cold room staring at the wall. For everybody else, you're going to be in the hospital bed surrounded by your loved ones, kind of like at the end of Interstellar. You ever see that one? You've got your kids and their grandkids and they're around you saying, we love you, Grandma. Thank you for everything you've done. We'll take care of your plant. And that's it. Which one would you pick? Your choice. Hey, man, I'm liberal. You do what you want to do. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Become a member over at timcast.com. Timcast IRL is coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Don't miss it, and we'll see y'all there.